January 11th, 2023. I'm going to hit a few issues tonight. Of course, the news that's come out that it looks like Biden has a classified documents problem, somewhat similar to the one that former President Trump has in a way. And then I want to hit another issue is the recent law that is, I guess, just passed in the Illinois state legislature having to do with semi-automatic weapons, which they call assault weapons, and which is kind of a misnomer, really. And then I have a few other thoughts later on. I want to discuss a few implications of the rule package that was passed in the House. So, yeah, about Biden and there, of course, given the raid on Mar-a-Lago, of course, Trump has a case where there's now a special prosecutor looking into his retention of some classified documents, a pretty significant number. And now apparently some lawyers that were associated with this Biden Penn think tank have found some classified documents that were in a closet there or something, and they've been turned over to the National Archives. And apparently they were held up a few days from when they found them and when they were turned over, but so anyhow, they waited after the election, and so that's creating a little bit of controversy here. By the way, if you like these videos, please click the like button, and you can subscribe, of course, if you're on YouTube, and the Google membership. I think you have to be a member to do it, and then you can click the bell for notifications. Yeah, but the thing at one level, you could say this is sort of a little different. You could argue, well, the issue with Trump was partly not only did he retain these documents, but he refused to turn them over for a lengthy period of time when he was being asked about them. And then there's a whole issue about the certification that was made by his lawyers, indicating they'd all been turned over, and then there was a raid, and then they found another 100, and so that's quite a bit different structurally. On the other hand, the fact is that he was president and claims that he had some policy of declassification. So that's one thing. Whereas I guess the issue is, as a vice president, Biden presumably didn't have the authority to do this, and there's no claim so far that these were declassified. So these are now officially were still classified documents, as I understand it. And of course, we don't know how many there were for sure, and we don't know what they were or what the topic was, obviously. And so I think that will play out a little bit as time goes forward and how this goes. The problem that Biden has now is with the Republicans now in control of the House of Representatives, and there's a committees being set up and all oversight committees and so forth. There's no doubt these will get investigated, and there probably will be subpoenas issued or witnesses to testify in order to probe what's going on here. Now, I think that one way of looking at this is that if these are just documents that somehow were inadvertently shipped to this location, and it's a pure glitch, and it was voluntarily turned over, it may not turn into much. On the other hand, if these documents actually are there for a purpose, that is, there was a mindful retention of them because it was a motivation. Let's say it had to do with the intelligence relating to Ukraine and issues that Hunter Biden might have been involved in his Burisma deals, or something to do with business deals in China, for instance. Then this could be turned into a much bigger potential scandal by the House investigation. But we don't know if that's going to be the case again, or these are just some random documents that we don't know what the level of security was either. The other impact they could have is just the fact that even in the mildest case for Biden, it may make it more difficult politically for the Justice Department to press charges against Trump. Because if you give Biden a pass and then you go right ahead and charge Trump, then it will look, regardless of the specific details, a little bit look biased. and also even the historical way in which Hillary Clinton's issue with her server and classified information was treated, I think kind of mitigates against the special counsel there, Jack Smith, going after Trump on this issue alone, or maybe even going after this issue. Um, so I think it's very likely, in fact, that he's going to primarily focus on this election challenge stuff and January the 6th and so forth, although that's also very problematic for him because the whole charge of an insurrection is basically propaganda. So far, nobody's been able to tie Trump in any way to the actions that Proud Boys, 3%ers, and other oath keepers took on that day. These are completely independent things, and what he'd called for was a peaceful protest, and what he got was something else. And so I think that but they will be trying to pursue, I think, some kind of conspiracy charge, probably trying along the lines of trying to obstruct a governmental process or something to that effect, or a congressional process. I don't know the exact statute, but I think that that's the direction they will be going in. So so that I don't know that the threat there that the independent counsel that poses will really be totally eliminated here, but it might kind of negate the documents issue. The other thing I want to discuss here is the state legislature in Illinois, the Democrat controlled, has passed a so-called assault weapon ban, apparently, which Pritzker's about to sign, as I understand it. Which, the version I've heard of it so far is it's going to ban the sale of a variety of semi-automatic weapons, presumably the rifles and maybe even some pistols. Remember, there's these sort of rifle pistol things, which are kind of like a rifle with a short barrel and no stock, that kind of thing. And so I'm sure they're included in this, and probably the typical 10-round magazine limits and that sort of thing. But I also understand it's also going to ban manufacture. And there are two leading manufacturers of these sort of firearms that are based in Illinois, namely, I guess, Springfield Armory and Rock River. And so, and then there may be others I'm not even aware of, but so that would effectively put them out of business. And as I understand, the NRA is saying that they're planning on probably a lawsuit on this, and probably other entities will be doing so as well, as maybe the companies involved and who knows who else. So this will become an issue, and I believe now, I think this, at any rate, it's the Chicago-based appeals court. I think it's the 7th, but at any rate, it's a Chicago-based court, has ultimate jurisdiction over this. So, and I don't know that circuit is a particularly firearms-friendly circuit, so that'd be interesting. However, with recent Supreme Court decisions, that may affect the outcome, and because there are precedents being set by that, and so we'll have to wait and see how that all plays out. But I would personally love to see some of these state-by-state bans be declared unconstitutional under the Second Amendment, because I think it's kind of a creeping process that would be good to see if we can shut that off a little bit. And so, at any rate, so that's an important issue. The other thing I want to discuss here at the end of this is the implications of the rule package that was passed just recently, but was negotiated last week because of the, the big showdown over the speakership and the 15 rounds. It occurs to me is I'm not sure that the Republicans did themselves a favor with all the things they passed. While from the point of view of, let's say, civics and good government, they may very well be good ideas in principle. Something you can tell your high school class about how the bill becomes a law and how things ought to be. But in practice, it looks to me like this is going to empower the Democrats quite a bit over what it would have been if we were operating the thing under, say, McCarthy, but with Pelosi-type rules. I think that it would be much easier to get bills that we want passed, whereas now we're going to have to worry about just the smallest number of defections, and at the same time, we won't have the leverage of, using, the big omnibus bill and put in something like immigration law reforms in it, and basically hold the whole thing up hostage to, um, them agreeing to some compromises on immigration. Maybe not what we initially put in there, but some major progress, for instance. Um, Shutting down this new app thing that Biden is proposing to basically legalize what was illegal immigration, which I think is really against the law, what he's doing there. But at any rate, the point I'm getting at is that it's going to be a lot more amendments, and a lot of these are not going to be Republican amendments or conservative amendments. They're going to be Democrat amendments. And if they can persuade just a few Republicans to join in with such a tight majority, we may have more difficulty getting the things done that we want. It probably won't have any real impact on the investigations we want, but to do anything about it, even to get it to the Senate for consideration or rejection, may be difficult. That's just a thought I had about this very recently. That in principle, it's kind of good that you got some things done. I think a lot of this was because I think a lot of members just didn't like the conditions they worked under. Now, the part about where you get 72 hours to read the bill, I think that's a good thing. And in principle, I think it's probably a good thing to have separate bills on separate things. Like I say, it's a question, of course, is what's good in principle and what will actually work under the real hostile conditions we may be under. Anyway, just a thought to consider. But at any rate, things are now proceeding, and I think they've passed the bill on the defunding those IRS agents that they wanted to put in there. However, again, that's just going to go to the Senate to die. A lot of these things are almost protest votes in practice. So anyway, I'll be wrapping this up now. As always, I'll also be posting this on Rumble. And of course, the addresses of my various social media accounts are listed below. I do post on Twitter quite frequently. So to keep up with what I'm thinking day to day, you can follow what I'm doing on Twitter. And so we'll wrap this up for now, and until next time.